Hi and welcome to this video. My name is Dave Hideman. I'm the application specialist for the steel segment here at Trimble, and today I want to show you how you can take existing CAD files and bring them into Tekla to create your own custom title blocks using the template editor. Now, a lot of people moving to Tekla for the first time are coming from a background using CAD, so you have a lot of existing CAD files that you might be able to just import. A lot of times you may have a new customer that will provide you with some CAD templates to use in their drawings because they want to see their logos here. So I'm going to show you how you can take those CAD files and use them rather than having to redraw everything inside of the template editor. So the first thing you want to make sure is that you've cleaned up the CAD files. If I go ahead and open up some samples here, you may have something like this to start with, where it's the full sheet including a border, title block, maybe a revision block. If this is an assembly drawing, you might have a bill of materials. What I recommend is breaking it down into its component parts. So rather than having all of those things on one template, you want to break them out into just having a title block, or just a revision block, or just a bill of materials. So rather than having this, what I would recommend is starting with something like this. That way you can take the individual templates, control them with individual rules, and then arrange them the way you want on a sheet later. So when you do start with something like this title block, you want to make sure that you remove any unessential text. So things like having the customer prefix here, you want to keep, but anything inside these fields that may change from job to job, you want to have blank. So this is a perfect starting point for bringing it into the Tekla template editor. So from inside of Tekla, you can go ahead to your File menu and choose Editors and then Template Editor. You want to make sure when you start a new template that you choose the proper type. You can choose from either a graphical template or a textual template. Graphical is going to be anything that has color, images, different types of fonts, things like that that you want to add into a drawing. A textual template would be something like a simple text report, or if you wanted to create a custom CSV file, things like that. So we want to make sure that we choose graphical for this example. You do get a basic layout or a basic workspace for this template. If I double click in the background, you can see there's an output width and height, there's a work area height, and there's also some default margins. Now my personal preference is not to have any margins when I'm working with a drawing template, so I'm going to go ahead and blank out those fields and then say OK. Next, I'm going to insert a row. It's important to have a row because you need one of those to insert any type of objects, whether it be text, line work, or inserted DWG files. You want to make sure you choose the proper content type. The content type is going to drive the kinds of values you can display in this template. So if I'm making a drawing template, usually I'll want to choose a drawing type. However, if you're making something like a template for an assembly drawing, you may want to choose an assembly type. The same type of information can be in both, but sometimes it's a little bit easier to start with one or the other. For this example, I'm going to start with a drawing type. Now that I have a row inserted, I can adjust the size of this row if I want to by stretching the handles up or down, but I'm going to let the inserted CAD file set the actual size for this. So what I'll do is go up to the Insert menu and then choose File. I can navigate to where that file has actually been saved. I've already done so. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that updated file that I created. And then I need to click inside of a row to place this. You cannot place anything outside of a row. It has to be inside. So I'll click, and then it prompts me to set a scale. I can either do a scale of 1 if the drawing file is at the proper scale. I can set specific dimensions if I want, or I can just say maximize the size of the imported drawing to basically fill up the row height. Note that this is dependent on the scaling in your CAD file. A lot of times when you're dealing with Tekla structures, you have to consider the metric to an imperial conversion. Under the hood, Tekla does think in metric, so you may have to scale up the CAD file either on that side or here. In this example, I can leave it at 1. So once I bring this in, you can see that it comes in as a single object. All the lines are joined together. I can leave it this way. However, you usually want to ungroup this or explode this by right-clicking and choosing the ungroup option. This breaks it down into its individual lines. So if you find when you've imported the file that there's some stuff that you forgot to get rid of, or maybe you don't have access to CAD software, you can still do the cleanup here if need be. You can also go ahead and start adjusting the size of this. The row height and width is going to be the printed height and width in the drawing, and I don't need a title block to take up this much space. So I can quickly size it down by right-clicking and under the crop option, choose crop component height. And then I can right-click again, choose Crop Template Left, and right-click Crop Template Right. So that will then fit the row down tightly to this title block. Now at this time I can start going ahead and adding different value fields. If I want, I can turn on different types of snaps to help me locate things. Under the Options menu and then Grid, I can turn on snaps, I can make them visible, and I can change their density. So it's really up to you and the situation if you want to use these. When I want to add a value field, simply choose the Value Field button, and then I can click to place where I want this to go. If I first want to insert the drawing number, I'll click, and now I get a list of all of the different drawing attributes that I can bring in. This is because it is a drawing row type. If I had an assembly row or something else, these options would look very different. So I'll go ahead and I will choose title, because title is going to be the drawing number for a GA drawing, which is what I'm working on. And here I can adjust some properties of this if I like. I can move it around, I can double click on it, I can change the length of the field, I can change its justification, its font, and some other things. I'm also going to go ahead and add in the contract number or the job number. Now the contract number is not going to be in the main drawing properties because it's not a drawing property, it's a project property. So I'll go down here to the project folder, and when I expand that, I will see a project number value. I'll add two more real quick. I'll have a detailed and a checked by. So I'm going to go ahead and add these. Now these are going to be, again, not straight drawing properties, but these are going to be instead user-defined attributes. That's where they're set in a drawing. So I have a folder here called user-defined, and then I get the different tabs that are available in a drawing user-defined property. If I go back to the Tekla model real quick and double-click in the background, I can go to the user-defined attributes of the drawing, and we can see there's a parameters tab, a workflow tab, a submittals tab, and a drawing notes tab. On the workflow tab is where I have my checked by and my drawn by. So now I know which tab these are placed on. Back in the template editor, I can go ahead and add in from the workflow tab the drawn by, and I'll go ahead and add in one more for checked by. I'm going to go ahead and change the length of these down to 3 characters just so someone can include their initials. And that's all I'll make for now. There's a lot more options you can add, obviously, but in the interest of time, we'll just stick with these. So next I need to save this. For testing purposes, it's always best to save it directly to the model folder. So I'll go to my libraries, add it to my Tekla Structures model. I need to go ahead and find where this was saved, and we'll just save this as sample template. Now that I have this saved in the model folder, I can go ahead and pull it into a drawing. Inside of Tekla, I can go to the File menu, Editors, and choose the Layout Editor. Here in the Layout Editor, I can see which templates have currently been added. I'm going to go ahead and remove the title blocks that are there, and because I don't have a revision block, I'll go ahead and remove that as well. I can see the sample template in my available tables because it's in the model folder, and I'll just go ahead and click in the bottom right of my sheet. So you can see it comes in. I'll make one more adjustment to its actual location. And then we'll save this layout. I'll create it as a new one so that we can see the actual drawing. As we can see, it's already calling in the drawing number and it's calling in the generic contract number. If we wanted to check to see if the detailed by and checked by initials are working, let's make adjustments to those user-defined attributes. So on the workflow tab, I'll say drawn by me and maybe checked by Lee Snyder. In order to see those changes, we just have to go ahead and reopen the sheet. And here we can see that the detailed by and checked by initials are working. So as you can see, it's pretty quick to get those files into the template editor. Some minor adjustments can be made there, custom fields can be added, and then using the new drawing layout editor, it becomes really fast to customize these sheets. As always, I hope you find this video helpful. Feel free to reach out to your local help desk for any additional questions, and thanks for watching.